Hi, Yulia. How are you?
I'm excellent. Hi, Rupesh and Alberto. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well, thank you. I am in Florida, in the Orlando area. It's a beautiful, gorgeous day, and uh, and any opportunity that I have to talk about artificial intelligence, that's what I do.
Brilliant.
So yeah, Yulia, tell us about yourself a little bit, like so that our
Sure,
audience knows who the guest is.
absolutely. My name is Yulia Kosarenko. I'm author, consultant, and coach. The areas that I'm most interested in are business architecture, analysis, and analytics. And I'm also creating a course on business analytics for Humber College in Toronto. So I'll be teaching this fall.
Oh, that's nice. So coming back to our topic, the main theme of the podcast. Let's suppose we have to give a first command to the artificial general intelligence, which is going to self-assemble itself. What would your command be?
Yeah, I thought about this question since you introduced the topic, and my background and where I came in my career led me a lot to questions of learning and communicating and helping people understand each other. And same applies to business analysis and architecture, understanding what do we want to do, why do we want to do it, and do we understand why are we doing this thing. So I picked the word learn. To me, and general AI will need to start learning from some inceptional moment or from that moment where it's born or it begins to exist. And we have to, as creators, and I'm assuming looking at humans as creators of general AI, but of course we don't know for sure, we need to start the learning process, because just like with a child who is born and needs to learn about the society and rules of the society and rules of the nature, we can't teach the child everything. We answer the questions and we direct them and we give them books to read, but there is a process that goes on in the brain, in that mechanism that connects the facts and connects what is seen and learning about the world around them. So to me, that's what general AI will need to do too.
Let me ask you a question. When Rupesh and this were talking about this right before we went in this week, we talked on the internet about artificial intelligence, obviously, and we were saying, do you visualize a movie, a particular movie, when you think general artificial intelligence?
Mhm. To me, it's not actually a movie, it's a book. So
Oh, wow.
I read a book a couple of years ago, The Origin, by one of my favorite authors, and that was a book about general AI. I didn't know it right when I picked up the book, that's what it will be about, and it made a huge impression on me. It was about a very smart, obviously, AI, a companion of a smart inventor that was doing everything for him, and he gave it a task to help him promote his idea and give this idea the widest reach. And the way this general AI went about succeeding in that goal, it was just it was quite a turn of the story when we got to this point. So to me, that's right now a measure. I know it's science fiction, it's just extrapolation, but to me, that's a measure of what we need to think about when you think about training and mentoring. I'm going to use your word, Alberto, mentoring your general AI, to be helpful and to be useful and not to do
Yeah,
harm.
the first book that my oldest daughter recommended to me when she was in elementary school, she was like in third grade, could not be more than third grade.
Mhm.
It was The Giver by
Mm.
Louis, I forget her last name. Anyway, and it's about in a quote unquote perfect society in science fiction
Yeah.
that they will only have one person that it will give that it will get all the negative emotions to the community and through the history. So my question to you is, if learn is your first question, what happens when your artificial intelligence that you design by that one word, how would it react to all those negative things, wars, famine?
Yeah, yeah, no, it's an important question, and for some reason I can't explain it. I know everyone has their own view. Thinking of general AI, for some reason I think of it from a parent's perspective. Maybe that's just my bias, but I imagine this child that is learning and learning about the world. And of course, eventually we'll start learning about the negative things and the unfairness and injustice. And even if we protect children in the beginning, we know that eventually they'll need to learn about it. So
Mhm.
to me, the question is, how do we mentor and teach AI to learn about negative things? Because you can't just use the data. Again, the data is going to be biased, and the data does not contain the most important codes and characteristics that describe this injustice, because you don't know how to describe it. That's too complex. Maybe on the surface, some of these injustices could be justified by the data, right? Or by some kind of science.
True.
But
So
then,
would you put the second word first, learn, and second, injustice?
um, I don't know. I mean, my AI, I don't think will understand that word, so that would be confusing. I would say it. I'll ask it to ask questions and ask why. And I would say that perhaps if we ever get that far as trying to program or train general AI to, to be intelligent in the way that we mean, perhaps we will need some mentors, as the one in a Giver book or some other book, but some mentors that are teachers by nature, or that are, I don't know, priests or philosophers. We will have to think of how to teach the AI to ask the questions and process the answers. And I can't think of a way to do it honestly with data or with numbers or with just stuffing it with the information, because the interpretation of that information, I don't think we have learned to code it into data yet.
That's true. Let's imagine that there are two theories in what we're talking about. One is that there will be many artificial intelligence, and each designer of them, let's say by one word, just to make it simple in science fiction, so there will be as many people as there are. There may be artificial intelligence out there. That's one theory. And Rupesh, by the way, is a participant of that theory, and I am too. And the other, which people call the scary one, is that there's going to be a singularity general artificial intelligence, that it will cover everything. What do you think?
I think that the first one is much more realistic. Well, realistic, speaking of general AI, of course. But to me, I can't even imagine. My imagination doesn't even help me visualize the singularity and how can it possibly happen. I guess if it does happen, it means that whatever we humans know, we will be we will have no way of dealing with it, because we wouldn't be even able to comprehend it. The first one is the one that I can live with and think about and imagine happening. And to me, in a way, it's like teachers having pupils or apprentices. And perhaps each designer will, I don't even want to say train, will teach and will bring up their own AI the way they believe is right. And maybe we will have schools for them, and who knows, and maybe once there will be enough of those general AIs brought up in different ways, then we will be able to combine their knowledge, or they'll be able to teach each other. It's almost like creating another society that we start to create, but then perhaps it begins to develop more on its own with guidance, or with, to me, it's like it's a never-ending process of mentoring and training, just like we do now with deep learning models, right? We have to keep monitoring and checking up on them and making sure they don't go all the way to the right or to the left.
Okay, let's take it from there. When using on the technical side or on the science side, by the way, from the cell biology, it doesn't matter if the input is biological or outside. so we are creating an artificial intelligence, your artificial intelligence, and it says learn. But is there's a plurality of artificial intelligence? Think about what it could happen. One of the things that they learn is, I am like this one, another artificial intelligence, but I'm not like this one. And it starts separating us.
And it would become more or less like the society we have today, like the human society we have today. Each and every human has their own perks. Each and every human is great at what they do. So similarly, every artificial intelligence which we would have in the society would be a counterpart of their human self. Talking about it in terms of the first theory we had. The second theory which was there, like second theory, which is singularity, basically, that will combine all the goods and the evils together. But it is always hard to make a choice if you think of it from data aspects, right? It is the choices which we makes us human. Helping someone is a choice. Helping someone grow up in their life is a choice. It is
Animals help each other.
Make us more human.
Yeah, but animals help each other. Does not make them more human. You have seen the elephant helping the little elephant get out of the river that is stuck in there. Doesn't make the elephant more human.
It's like a selfish gene theory, right? It's all maybe the survival. Your survival instinct actually makes you do the right thing.
Yeah.
See, because after all, everything we do is a combination of a yes and a no with a agree and a disagree. Like if there's some fact about world, which is going to be seen through a yes and a no. But if you agree to that fact or if you disagree to the fact, basically a combination of a yes and a no and an agree and a disagree is justice.
Well, and with that, we're going to kind of wrap up our podcast. We like to keep it artificial intelligence and to the point. Julia, thank you very much. Please let all your friends and all your connections about the podcast. We have some people that were joining besides the AIBA group that in LinkedIn that have over 220,000 people. We do the podcast and we put them all. We want to put your podcast as soon as possible. And with that, I cannot thank you enough. I love that we finished with good instincts. That is a good way of finishing it.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me. It's exciting. I look forward to further podcasts too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
It was
Have
great
a wonderful day. Thanks. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.